Imagine you're a soldier in World War II. You're huddled in a trench, and in the distance you see it. An entire U.S. armored division, tanks and all, rolling into position. You hear the rumble of engines, the clatter of tank treads, the radio chatter of commanders. You report it up the chain of command. The enemy is here, and they're ready for a fight. But what if I told you that entire division was a ghost? This is the incredible, almost unbelievable true story of the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, better known as the Ghost Army. These weren't your typical soldiers. They were artists, actors, sound engineers, and designers. Their mission? To deceive the German army on a grand scale, using creativity and illusion as their primary weapons. They were masters of trickery, conducting more than 20 battlefield deceptions that saved countless lives and helped turn the tide of the war. So how did they do it? Their arsenal wasn't filled with bullets and bombs. Instead, they had inflatable tanks, cannons, and jeeps. From a distance, these rubber decoys looked exactly like the real thing. A small group of soldiers could inflate an entire tank battalion in a matter of hours, creating the illusion of a massive American force where there was only air. They would arrange these decoys in convincing formations, even adding fake tank tracks with special rollers to complete the illusion for any enemy reconnaissance planes flying overhead. But sight was only one part of the deception. The Ghost Army also had to fool the enemy's ears. This is where the sound engineers came in. They traveled with massive speakers mounted on trucks, capable of blasting pre-recorded sounds of troop movements, tank engines, and construction work for miles. They created a library of sounds meticulously recorded at Army bases back in the States. They could tailor the sonic deception to any scenario. Need to make it sound like a column of tanks is moving in at 3 a.m.? They had a recording for that. Need to simulate the sounds of an entire infantry division digging in for the night? No problem. They would play these audio symphonies of war, often in the dead of night, convincing German radio intercept units that a huge American force was gathering, ready to attack. Think about the psychological impact. A German soldier, listening in the dark, would hear the unmistakable sounds of an army on the move. He'd report it, his commanders would react, and they'd move their own troops to counter a threat that didn't actually exist. It was brilliant, and it was incredibly dangerous. While the Ghost Army was creating this elaborate fiction, the real American units were often miles away, moving secretly to their actual attack positions. The Ghost Army was drawing fire, putting themselves directly in harm's way to protect their comrades. Then there was the third layer of their deception: spoof radio. This was the domain of the actors and scriptwriters. It would mimic the radio traffic of a real Army unit. They learned the unique conversational styles of different radio operators and the specific protocols of various divisions. They'd broadcast fake coded messages, creating a web of false information for German intelligence to intercept. They'd even impersonate generals, creating a whole cast of characters in their radio plays. By creating this chatter, they made their Phantom Army seem not just present, but active and preparing for battle. One of their most famous operations was Operation Vierzon. In March 1945, the U.S. Ninth Army was preparing to cross the Rhine River, a massive and heavily defended German line. The Ghost Army was called in to help. Their mission was to pretend to be two entire divisions, about 30,000 men preparing to cross the river at a different location, miles south of the actual crossing point. For days, they put on their greatest performance. They inflated hundreds of dummy vehicles. They broadcast the sounds of bridge building and tank movements day and night. Their radio operators filled the airwaves with chatter, simulating the command structure of 2 full divisions. They even drove trucks in loops, with only a few soldiers in the front and back, to make it look like long convoys were delivering troops to the front line. They set up fake headquarters, and even had a soldier impersonate a general, driving around in a jeep to be seen by local spies. The deception worked perfectly. The Germans were completely fooled. They directed heavy artillery fire onto the Ghost Army's empty positions and moved significant forces to counter the phantom threat. Meanwhile, the real Ninth Army crossed the Rhine further north with far fewer casualties than anticipated. The Ghost Army, a unit of just over 1,000 men, had successfully tied up German resources and drawn their attention away from the real attack. They were so convincing that even after the war, a classified U.S. Army report concluded the Germans never realized they had been tricked. The members of the Ghost Army were sworn to secrecy. For more than 50 years after the war, their story remained classified. They went back to their lives. The artists went back to painting, the actors to the stage, the designers to their studios. Many of them became famous in their own right, like fashion designer Bill Blass and artist Ellsworth Kelly, but none of them could speak about their most important and creative work. They were truly invisible soldiers, their contributions hidden from history. It wasn't until the 1990s that their mission was declassified. The world finally learned about their incredible ingenuity and bravery. In 2022, the unit was finally awarded the Congressional Gold Medal, one of the highest honors in the United States, recognizing their unique and vital role in the Allied victory. The story of the Ghost Army is a powerful reminder that warfare isn't just about brute force. It's about strategy, intelligence, and sometimes a little bit of showmanship. These men used their creativity not to destroy, but to deceive, saving thousands of lives in the process. They were a testament to the power of imagination on the battlefield, proving that sometimes the most powerful weapon you have is a good story. Thank you so much for watching. The story of the Ghost Army is one of the most fascinating hidden chapters of World War II. If you found this as amazing as I did, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who loves a great story. Let me know in the comments what other hidden histories you'd like to see covered. See you in the next one.